Hey, fellas, welcome to another week of Last Call. We have Al. We have Coach. You want to go by Coach Blair? Is that what we're doing? We got
that
Coach
works.
Blair in the house and Phil Shigglesworth. Is that what's going on? Is Phil Shigglesworth or we're going by Don Ray on the show?
The third. Phil Shigglesworth the
Phil
third.
Shigglesworth the third. And I guess you have to be a cop. So, fellas, we have some things to talk about today. So our three items we're going to talk about tonight. One is this whole, fly, Eagles, fly. I'm an Eagles fan. Anybody going to sing with me on the road?
Yeah.
Victory.
There's been some chatter about this 35th pick of the Browns, right? And whether they should have traded Foles for that pick. There's been some chatter about that. We're going to chat about that. We're also going to chat about what's going on in Philly, man. We with Colangelo. I mean, first it was something, and then it was nothing, and then it was something again. And wifey's involved. So then the last piece that we're going to chat about is solutions for tanking. There's a problem. Is there a solution? So let's just jump right in, fellas. First, we're going to talk about this fly, Eagles, fly. Now, the Browns, they could have, what's the story on this? They offered it to the Eagles, and Eagles didn't want to take it, right? So let's hear from you guys what you're thinking about that. I don't want to say too much because I have a real deep opinions about it, but whoever wants to go first can go first. Should the Eagles have done it? That's basically the simple question for you guys.
Wait.
As I eat my spicy, these are ginger turmeric cashews here.
People eat nuts. Oh, shit.
Go ahead. Who's first?
Go ahead, Cot.
But don't mind if I do. I love Foles. Matter of fact, I love Foles.
Matter of fact.
And the fact of the matter is, we ain't never win a Super Bowl, actually. And a man got us the biggest chip in the world. But yet, of course, in my Philadelphia's luck, we already have our franchise damn quarterback now. See, I like Foles 5 years ago, for the record. Okay, I wanted Foles to be our franchise. But anyway, we got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, in case people haven't been paying attention, he's on track to start the first game of the season. We hyped up this third-string quarterback. I can't even think of his name right now. Whatever his name is. Sudfeld. So the fact that, so guess what? Foles might not even get in the game this season anyway. You got a chance to improve your team long term. Damn it, I think we should have traded that 35th pick when the Browns offered it, because you know what? Foles might not get in the game this year. Matter of fact,
this is from a Foles lover.
Excuse me? Yes, I'm a Foles lover. I have a jersey. Nobody else I know has a Foles jersey in the world. So,
sold in America. This is yours.
so just to sum it up, and guess what? Foles might not play this year or next year, but we could have had a 35th pick in the draft. It could have been we do draft offensive linemen or pass rushers. But no, instead, we would keep somebody who may not even get in the game because we got a franchise quarterback who's working hard, and we got a bum named Sudfeld who people they're trying to hype up anyway. Damn it, we should have traded the 35th pick in the draft to the Browns.
All right, Alex. And this is from a Foles lover.
Yes.
So for Shigglesworth, Coach Blair, for Shigglesworth the third, sorry. Coach Blair, who would like to take this next? It looks like he's like, hey, I'm getting rid of her. I'm getting rid of him. I don't care about this. What do you both think?
Go ahead.
Yo, I'm still caught up in the fact that Acot's actually got his jersey, man. That'd be like trying to find somebody with a Hostetler jersey. I'm like, what? So listen, and
money this year,
right? So I'm gonna jump in as a non-Philly guy here. I think it was a smart move, because your boy, sure, he's on track to start, but he had a pretty significant injury. So 35th round pick, that's a second round pick. If you don't play for the year, based on what happened last year, I think you can still probably get a second round pick. So I think it's safe because you don't know what's wrong with the guy. You don't know how he's going to be. And that injury occurred in December, January. So, that ACL injury usually takes 9 months. So that puts you into September. So he's really pushing that recovery to get back. So I think it's a safe play.
Yeah, the Boobie Miles, so you guys seen Friday Night Lights. He had the Boobie Miles ACL injury. Can't do much on an ACL.
Nice.
Some old school football for you. football classic movie. So for Sugarsworth the third, are you agreeing with Scott or with Scott? Or
Here we go. I'm gonna tilt the fence a little bit, but I'm gonna come in at the end with a definitive stance. But I'm gonna start out with this. First and foremost, the window in the NFL is too small. When you have a shot, you go for it. Amen. So yes, you can probably get same value or better value if you try to pull like a Bradford move, the way we waited right before the season started, moving for a ransom, King's ransom, because somebody's going to get hurt. Look at last year, Tannehill. I mean, all these teams lost their players, their quarterbacks. So you can still get a King's ransom for them, probably more, if you wait till camp. While also checking to see if you got your backup, see how ready Carson Wentz is. So that's kind of both sides, because at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's great to have more picks in the future, but we can win this year. We can't wait 2-3 years. We can win this year. Every year you wait for a rookie is another year you have to wait for development and whatnot, even though second round players should be able to make an impact out the gate.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of reason for both sides. Me personally, I thought I was all in favor of moving Foles. I was after each round, after we beat the Falcons, I said we're gonna get a second.
Yeah.
After we beat the Minnesota, I was like, we're gonna get a high second and something else. And if we beat the Patriots and he plays well, which he did, we get in a first. I don't think a second round was actually a fair deal. I think we could have got more. And so, me personally, I'm okay without the move, because when I think about a second round pick and a definitive backup to a guy coming off a serious injury, which will most likely have the most impact on a team that's returning 20 out of 22 starters or something like that, that second round pick ain't cracking that starting lineup. So if you're going to get a backup regardless, I'd rather have a solid backup quarterback. So with that being said, I'm actually okay with the deal not going through. Even though if you would have checked my text and everything beforehand, it would have sounded like the vice versa. But I'm all right with it not going through.
Yo, C Breezy, can I add a little hot sauce to our little Philly cheesesteak right now?
Yes, sir. Please do.
Yeah, especially now within the context of what just happened this week.
Okay.
So we just responded to what they should have done a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna tell you what they should do right now. They should figure out a way to get rid of them boy. See if they can get that pick again from Cleveland. All right, and then go sign Colin Kaepernick. Boom.
Yes.
Ooh, that is definitely some hot sauce, man. That might.
Yeah, and then ask President Trump how he feel about that.
Woo.
Let me say, I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. That's hot sauce. Hopefully, I can do some kind of put a little hot sauce emoji in here or something over it.
They don't call him Coach GM for nothing.
So I guess from that segment, one thing that I learned from y'all before we moved on to discussing Colangelo is it's hard to be in love with a cop, because if he loves you. You all didn't say you loved him, and you said keep him. So I don't know what to say about that.
I don't say about it either.
We'll leave that alone. So all right. So the next thing is we're in Philly Sportsville. So we're hoping the Eagles do actually do something and shake it up this summer. We can be like the Hollywood of the East or something like that if we do all that. But Colangelo, the Sixers, we already have Joel Embiid bringing a lot of attention, more attention than we got since AI, right? Not just because of his play, because he trolls, he does all this. Now you got the GM. Is that Colangelo's job was? He was the GM?
Yes, sir.
The GM, he's involved, burner account, his wife running. So I don't want to say too much, but just to ask you all, what are your thoughts about what went down with Colangelo and where the Sixers decided to go? You all know the news today that they gave him the chance to resign. I'd like to know, or like to hear from you all about what happened and the decision and how it all played out. So we'll actually start with Scott or Don Ray on this. Or Coach. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in. I think the travesty of this is being very underspoken. I mean, you got to understand that in basketball in the U.S., I mean, the Colangelo family is huge, right? His dad has been running USA Basketball for quite some time, ever since the debacle of those Olympics that your beloved Allen Iverson was a part of that broke the streak of gold medals. Colangelo comes on in and cleans it up, and they've been in great places ever since. So, and in many respects, the same thing with the Sixers. And it's great. I'm breaking out in highs because all three of these topics are Philly related. So I'm gonna need some Benadryl afterwards. But because the tanking piece really came up because of what the Sixers are doing, and Brian came in and kind of cleaned that up, and part of that was because the NBA was needed that help because Philly just kept tanking, stockpiling picks, and redshirting players.
Have you been to Philly? It seemed like what happened when you were there? No, keep going.
Yeah, okay. So, side note, I'm super excited to be hopefully coming back, and coming back, and maybe LeBron be coming into town. But that's another topic for another day. But no, this is a big deal because, like I just said, the Colangelo name is huge in basketball, and for him to be caught up in this travesty, why did it take so long? Right. I mean, this came up, a little over a week ago or so. I mean, yes, his wife set up these bunk accounts using her phone number. Like, you couldn't even come up with a fake number. Like, come on, really? I mean, and again, just abysmal. The unprofessionalism, the ethics, morality of it. Absolutely. It's an utter travesty. It's so sad. And they had everything at their disposal. Philly is a shining star and literally ruined it. It ruins the reputation. It's just so sad. It's so sad.
So it ruins the reputation even though he's gone now? He's gone.
Yeah, because he's not getting no job anywhere. I mean,
no, you mean his reputation, not
yeah, exactly. The Sixers are going to be fine. Now that he's resigned, the Sixers will be fine. But for him, I mean, that's going to be quite a rebuild that he's going to have to go through to fix his reputation.
Yeah, I don't know what he gains from doing it or even lying about it afterwards. But thanks, Coach Blair. Sheezy.
Look, there's two things at work here, okay? There is the new age social media, which, as Herm Edwards says, just think before you hit that send button. Just don't do it. Secondly, so you have power, quote unquote power, in the hands of idiots. And the majority of us human beings are idiots. Even if we're not idiots, we have idiotic moments. And having that type of access 24/7 means when you have those idiotic moments, whether it's 10% of your day or whether it's 50% of your day, you have an opportunity to express yourself in an idiotic manner. So you got that coupled with, don't want to get political on here, but there's an environment created in this nation right now where people feel like, if you have an opinion, you should, regardless of research or sensibility or compassion, you should share it in the most blatant, vulgar way possible without using any filter. Mm-hmm. That's a top-down culture that's trying to be established, and it's really empowering folks to proceed in life without a filter, unfortunately.
Right.
Those two things together, I think, help contribute to this monster. And, of course, personality. What I don't get, it's clear that we're a forgiving nation. If right out the gate you own up to everything, he still has a job.
I agree.
Because people will see success and not care. You apologize, the next day it goes away. There are people who have done terrible things in this nation who are fine a day or two later. And then there's clowns who try to, I didn't do what had happened was, it just drags out. And so this is the result of that. So I'm glad he's no longer representing my team. And I don't know when he'll be representing another team, but eventually he'll own up to it and he will represent another team, because the incest of the NBA, you will see if Don Nelson wanted to, he'd have a job tomorrow. I mean, the reality is it's the same guys over and over and over again. So
appreciate it. Yeah, Bobby, there's not quite NBA. Bobby Knight kept the job all those years. Look what he did. Speaking of what Scott mentioned earlier, I think you mentioned earlier, right, Coach Blair?
That'll be coming up later.
So I want to steal your thunder on that. Alex.
Yeah, that's off air stuff. That's okay. The viewers get some of that background stuff. That's good.
Hey, Kai.
Once again, we gotta call a spade a spade. Okay. Colangelo's a gangster. I don't know, like the man is a gangster. Not only did he know that his wife, quote unquote, was putting out these messages, okay, he actually had the audacity to think he's gonna get away with it.
Yeah.
We live in a gangster society. I agree with what the gentleman said. But we also live in a gangster society right now. People think they can say whatever they want because we got a president who runs his mouth with no filter. And now he think he can be gangster enough to try to blame it on his wife. You know how celebrity in chief treats his wife. Neither here nor there. Okay, so the man said, you know what? Instead of owning up to it, like I agree with like Mr. Shigglesworth the third said, no, my wife did it, and blah 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 blah, and then he still resigned. He's a gangster because, damn it, rather than take responsibility, he blamed it on his wife, and he still ended up resigning. And I agree with Scott. With Coach Blair. The fact of the matter is, the man had a great name. He done tarnished the damn Colangelo name. Okay, and so forget the Colangelos. Damn it, it's a rap.
His wife tarnished the name. He didn't do it. His wife.
No. Colangelo is a gangster. Brian did that shit. Okay, hit it on the wife. I'll shoot you my language. I'm sorry. FCC rules. Yo, Colangelo did it. I with his wife. And then don't get me started on what if he had a different type of wife, what she be doing to him right now would do. Okay, so no, his wife ain't do nothing. Don't get out of here. My wife did it. Right. Oh baby, take the rap for this, please.
He had the world, man. I mean, not only does he have the name, but he's overseeing the one team. I mean, I guess you can put the Celtics in there too. That are on everyone's list for being the up and coming squad. Everyone thinks you're going to get LeBron this summer, and y'all do this.
You know why? But you know why? You know why? Because he knows deep down inside he's not responsible for this limelight.
I agree.
It's Sam Hinkie, and he deep down inside resents him. And just like Kevin Durant, he has a self-esteem issue, a self-confidence issue, regardless of how great anyone says he is. If it's not being told nonstop, he can't be in the presence of someone else share the light or anything. And so now the banners are going up in Xfinity Live and all these different bars, and people are like loving Sam Hinkie, giving him some love post mortem almost. Not that he's gone, but R.I.P. anyway. He can't take it. He's a child in a man's body who's lived an entitled life because he comes from a powerful family. And not to say that he's not credible or capable, but his journey to get to where he wasn't as difficult as others who are in similar positions. And so he's a man-child.
Nepotism, dog.
Nepotism. So seems like what you all are saying is, as Ajo saying that evil, power creates what do you call it? Absolute power.
Corrupts absolutely.
Corrupts absolutely, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, hold on. There's something else we should talk about too, man. Why didn't Philly cut him sooner? I mean, this has been out there for well over a week, and the only reason he resigned today is because they just got all the forensic evidence in.
Well, yeah, that's what they would.
Like, why did Philly let this hang out? That part of it's on their integrity too.
They have to do their due diligence in the investigation.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what they would say to you.
There's all those. Come on, Scott. You NCAA Coach Blair. You're an NCAA guy. How about who was it that was let go, and they ended up having to still pay him another $9-10 million because they didn't. It was I think.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Or something like that.
You can't just
if you fire, even though they're wrong, if you fire them before doing whatever you got to do. The way it was a boy at Arizona.
Yeah.
What did they say? Just not cause or something like that. I was like, what are you talking about? You cheated.
Right.
Not yet. Okay. But you did, right?
Yep.
They got to pay him. So it's probably.
No, you're right. You're right. It's a good point.
Gotta do your due diligence when you're about to get rid of folks. So we're on Philly sports. Went from Eagles to Sixers. Let's drill a little. Let's take it away from the Sixers. Although I know Coach Blair. This is like he's really has it out for the Sixers because. I want to preface this by saying, not connected directly to the Sixers, right? Just looking at the league in general, right? I know as hard as it may be, what's the solution for tanking? Because it's something that the Sixers is a little bit of luck, help them, but it is something that does damage the play and the quality, and then fans. There's a number of things involved. I don't want to say too much, but what do you all think would be a solution to that if you were Adam Silver, or the Adam Silver of 2025 or whatever, whenever the new person comes in? What would you do? And I just want to hear it. You're like, okay, my first year, this is what I would do to end tanking.
Look, it's very simple, okay? And you can go back a couple years to, I think, 2010. Coach Blair has his own sports blog, and I wrote a little article back
that's
then.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very simple. First of all, I don't want to hear this bad quality of play. When I coached middle school basketball underneath the great Coach Blair, I told my kids, do not watch NBA. If you want to get better, you stay up. You're up at 10 o'clock. I want you watching BYU versus Colorado State. I want you watching women's basketball. I don't want you watching what the NBA calls basketball. That's a whole nother different sport, what happens up there, okay? Different rules, different everything. So don't miss me with the whole quality of play. Quality of play has been terrible since I was little, with the exception of the games that quote unquote matter. Here's the solution, because a lot of people can note the problem, they don't got solution. Soccer rules worldwide with the exception of the United States. You have a G League, right? Develop the G League, take of the 32 teams, come up with a secondary league, and the bottom 4 teams, you get the first 4 picks, but you get relegated to a league below. You can't play for the NBA championship next year. You are playing in the minors, brother.
So this is a notch above the D League?
And then you got to win that league. The top 2 teams from the G, I know it's the G League now, whatever, but I'm going to keep calling it the D League because it's the D League.
Yes, this is a notch above the current existing D League.
Yes. You're breaking it up. Okay, the way it works in soccer and in Europe or in South Africa, everywhere else is there are different levels. So let's say there's 3, 4, maybe even 5 different levels of soccer. So they could have 50, 60, 70 teams. And when you win your league, your division, or they usually have 2 champions a year, different ways it can happen. Let's say you have 2 champions for the year. You have 2 semesters, like 2 seasons, and you win them, the regular season champ and whoever wins the tournament, something like that. 2 teams move up to the next level league, the top 2 teams from that league. The bottom 2 teams from that upper league drop down. So if you have an A, B, C, D league, then your 2 D champions or 2 top teams in the D League will move up to C next season. The bottom 2 teams of C move down. Same thing happens with A, B, and C, so all the way down. What happens is it hurts your pocket, because if you're in those lower leagues, you get less of the
profit
revenue,
sharing,
of the profit sharing and revenue, TV sharing, all that stuff. And so it behooves you to stay in the Premier League, if you will, of basketball. And so you do get rewarded. You get your first overall pick, but you're gonna be making a whole lot less ducats next year, and you have to win next year, or else you're gonna stay in that league again, in which case you're not eligible for those picks. It's my suggestion that only the folks in the A League get actual draft picks. The other ones, you just have some sort of, like you do with expansion teams, you have some sort of free agency type deal that works out. But I'm telling you, that would no one would want to tank at that point. You get a first round pick, but then you're irrelevant for at least a year.
But with your that structure, some people are going to be in that other league. It'll deter them from tanking. But some people, if you're not good enough, you're going to be in another league, in this G League.
Yep.
So
well, you know what it does, see, Breezy, is that it encourages you to pick good personnel, so that you're not flipping back and forth. Because like Don Ray said, with the European model with soccer, and he and I have talked about this for a long time, is that it allows you have to retain your staff, one, and then it puts good GMs and good coaches in an even more powerful position, because they're valued because of the culture that they bring too. Because you don't want to be a program like, let's say in the NBA, the Timberwolves, that are kind of fluttering with being an 8th seed and a 7th seed, and then they drop out, and maybe the next year they're irrelevant, and then you run the risk of being out of the league and being relegated to the lower league, it really places a high premium on identifying good player personnel development people, good salary cap people, so that you have more New England Patriots and Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers, and less Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat that are bouncing in and out of being relevant and being irrelevant over the course of the last 10 years.
So Coach Blair, you're saying you're agreeing this is a strategy that you would.
I'm mixed, and I'm gonna keep it brief based on what I just said. But I agree with Don Ray that's the best way to get rid of it. But again, based on the current climate and the culture of professional sports in America, it'll never happen. Why? Because you're gonna mess up owners' profit margins. So
it shrinks the league, right? Like the teams that are like.
Well, not necessarily, because it allows you have teams flip-flopping. So you're going to have teams coming down, but then at the same time, you're going to have teams coming up. And again, I'm not well-versed in European soccer, but that just happened like last year, where a team that has been relegated to the lower leagues, they did some really, really good stuff. They moved up, and didn't they like win the championship or something?
Oh, yeah. Odds, yep, they came out of nowhere. And I know it's ACOT's time. I don't jump, but to emphasize something that he said there is the relegation piece. It's fresh. It would keep the NBA fresh. You're talking about a team from Wichita, Kansas, all of a sudden is now in the NBA, but the New York waste of a time Knicks, now they're Saudi and they're playing in the B League or whatever it is for the next year. Yeah. Like your fan base isn't going to have that. You have to get up there. You have to establish a farm system. You have to pay more attention. You are going to start drafting 3 and 4 year college players, not these one and dones that take you forever. I mean, you have to create a true.
Yeah, it's a solution to tanking. It's definitely a solution to tanking.
In all sports, by the way. I like it for all sports, but I know we're talking about basketball specific.
ACOT, what you got?
Well, let me say I admire, that was very sophisticated. Europe. Shout outs to Europe. Shout outs to the idea.
Shout out to France. Holla.
Yeah, shout out to France. But here in America, I don't think that's going to happen. But I like the idea.
America great again.
Yeah. So here's my thing. Given the current dynamic and the current structure, I think we should just start. And this might seem oversimplistic, but that's kind of, I think, going to be how we kind of ultimately get to the European idea of doing things. After failing with the oversimplistic idea, which I'm about to put out there, I think we should simply start fighting these teams who are clearly tanking. Maybe there should be a tanking committee who judges who's tanking and who's not. So the tanking committee will decide, okay, well, the Sixers, hold up, they're not putting Embiid out there on the court. They're not putting Ben Simmons out on the court. Damn it, they're tanking. Fine them $1 million. Okay, now for the NBA, that's nothing, big deal, whatever. It's like just $1 million. And also take away a damn draft pick if they do it for more than 1 year. I think that'll persuade teams to at least play their best players. Tanking, I think losing to get a better pick isn't necessarily a bad thing, but not putting your best players out there to clearly tank that's what makes tanking. You're not playing your best players. You're not trying to win. If you're trying to win, it's just garbage, which a lot of teams ultimately will be just somebody's got to be garbage. Everybody can be good, so you know what? Instead of put the best players you got out there, and if the team committee thinks you're not making a concerted effort to try to put a good product out there, find them for 1 year. You see they do the second year, take away the damn draft pick, and then they pick in the second round, they'll stop.
And you know what? That's a decent approach, because oftentimes when these teams aren't doing well, especially, folks often think about the Oakland A's, for example, where they just kind of hang out, is because at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, we're not going to win, but we're going to turn a profit. So that's more important. So being able to put those kind of restrictors on there is like, no, you got to be competitive. And in some respects, I kind of like what the NFL does, where it's just, the worst team gets the pick. And if you're terrible for 100 years, like the Eagles until last year, yeah, I said that, or the Browns more notably, then that's on you. Then that's on you. Hey, I got to put a little Philly hate, because everything we're talking about is about Philly. Right. But let's talk more specifically with the Cleveland Browns. Like, if you're just going to make bad personnel decisions, I mean, they haven't been decent since the freaking 80s, then that's on you. then that's
on you.
just on you.
That's kind of what
Not
it
a bad
is.
approach.
So, go ahead, for Shigglesworth.
This is. I know where everyone's come from, but the reality is we're talking about best case scenario, putting together a committee that we believe would be able to make judgments, subjective judgments. When using an instant replay, they overturn the most subjective of cause ever. Stop on the highest. Stop it on the highest stage. This is the reality. If you want to do something like that, and I do like it, don't get me wrong, but I don't trust people, as you can tell. I mean, we're fools, all of us. So if we're going to do something like that, it's got to be because I can give one example that'll throw that whole idea out. Who's to say that resting a player like LeBron? I know this year he played 82, but when you rest your good players, how is that not in the competitive spirit? I want to win tomorrow. I think we can win tonight without him. If he's not fresh, if Tim Duncan at 94 years old isn't fresh against the Heat, we're not going to win that game. So it's our competitive to go without him today, sit today, and he can play tomorrow.
That's not tanking, though.
At what point are you going to say, well, they did. They just sat LeBron yesterday. Why can't we sit a guy who's not as good? It's way too. Yeah, he's our best player.
Subjective.
It's way too subjective, in my opinion. If you're going to do something like that, you want to do it like you got to hit them. It's got to be if you're not on television right now. It's like it's revenue sharing. Everything's equal. Why don't you do it like this? If you're on TV, you get all of that. I mean, I don't know the specifics, but if your team doesn't go on TV, you don't get any of that revenue share.
I agree. That's fine.
That's how you hit them where it hurts.
As we close this out, I have a question maybe it's for you, for Shigglesworth the third, and on this, the Lakers. Let's look at two franchises, right? The Lakers and the New York Knicks. Very loyal fan bases, right? Mm-hmm. Very loyal. I don't care if they're tanking or flanking or whatever, or planking. They don't care. They come into the games. They're watching them. They're watching those teams. They love them to pieces. How does that work out with the other, idea about, bumping them down? Does it ignite some kind of and the fans to make them push the team to be better because they're not like? How does it work out with
you just want to hear me?
Like you just want to hear they're winning. They just love the purple and gold.
You just want to hear me repeat again how dumb we are as a human race, right?
Yeah. People just keep going even though the product stinks.
Why? Right.
I'll say it again. Do we care about New Yorkers or do we care about the product? If we care about the product, then somebody's going to be upset every year. I mean, yeah, maybe there's a whole bunch of rabid New York or LA fans, faux fans, by the way. Right. But let's say there are. That doesn't mean that in Philly there aren't as many diehard, or Chicago or OKC, or maybe it's not as much. There are people who will be hurt too, but that pushes the team to be competitive. There's no more fire that can be lit under you than upset fans. And guess what? Fans have been upset in New York for some time now. Ain't nothing changed. You want to see something change? Now tell them that their team is playing against Sisters of the Poor.
Oh, right.
They ain't go out there and watch Colgate play Siena. You know what I'm saying? By the way, that wasn't a doubt. I actually like watching that basketball, but that's where they're going to go. They're not going to want to watch. You know what I mean? They're not going to want to watch them play against some guys they don't know, because that's another thing that happens in this relegation deal is if you have a high priced guy, you can't afford him. You can't afford a LeBron on.
That's a good point.
You don't have enough revenue. And so that's where you start selling him to other teams, or selling contracts, or moving him, or trading him, so that you can afford the team at the lower. I mean, it comes with a lot of things. You cannot be in that lower league. It's the worst. And so what you do is right out the gate, you say, hey, all of you, we're playing next 3 years, 4 years, whatever. At the end of 4 years, the 6 teams with the worst record are going down to that new league. And we're going to start from there. We're going to start from scratch with a 24 and maybe 12. We'll take those 6 teams that don't make it, and then we'll add 6 new cities. And now A League is 24 and B League is 12, and we start from there.
Okay. And the other thing that happens with that too is you see turnovers with the owners, because the owners can't afford it too, and then you end up getting teams getting sold. So that's another part of it too. So then with that kind of a system, the Knicks would be saved because Dolan's no longer the owner.
Get some brothers of color up in there too.
Yeah,
The
there's
man's club would be done.
I know the gentleman Stephen A. Smith would love that for that one.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would.
Calendar.
So
Bedtime. Your life depends on it.
the one thing that you guys, well, I guess I'll just say this: you all are young enough to be the gym one day. You're connected. We have a coach here. We have a former baller and another person who played with. Who did you play with in the NBA, Don Ray? I mean, Alex. Who's an NBA? You played with Rasul Butler and I don't know, some other people.
Rasul Butler, Flint Murray.
Yeah, so y'all at 6 degrees of separation. You are young enough to make it to GM. I don't know what the prerequisites are. Adam Silver doesn't seem like he ever dribbled a ball in the NBA, and neither did Daniel Stern or anything like that.
But I want to give a shout out to Adam Silver. He is the best.
Yeah. I like him as a guy. I'm just saying.
He's the best commissioner that I've seen, I think, that I've been around for any sport since
that you've been around? Did you have dinner with him last week?
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned. Compared to what we have in the NFL, man, the commissioner really does make a difference in the whole spirit. Let's say as the company, as leaders go.
I agree with that.
Man. Yo, is it that backstory about Cotton playing with Rasul Butler? Is that why you thought you could hang with LeBron during last week's segment, man?
I mean. No, LeBron takes everybody to the damn finals, dog. That's all. That's the point. Either here or there.
Even you,
even me. Exactly. Got
it. In his prime, because I know we're a little over the prime age now. So fellas, we discussed our topics tonight. We're gonna do last call right now, which we have to thank Coach Blair for this, and then a little bit of the hot sauce, even though that's your word, by Fish Shigglesworth III. We're going to end each show as we continue to grow with the last call. You have 30 seconds to talk. It could be something that we discussed today or something that you really want to get off your mind about sports or what's going on in the world. Sometimes it can just be random. So this last call, guys. Who's up first for the last call? Give you 30 seconds to fire off something for the masses to listen to that you think is important for folks to know.
May I?
Yes, sir. And I'm time these really very, very carefully. So we're going to start 30 seconds. Begin.
Yes. Well, I just want to say the whole protesting thing. I'll give a shout. I want to give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for making the stand that they made. Bottom line is, I know some players still wanted to go, including the coach. But bottom line is, the team overall came to a consensus. Clearly, the majority said, "You know what? You ain't going, I ain't going, brother." And the fact of the matter is, there was no controversy. You didn't hear no teammates coming out. And if society could be more like the Philadelphia Eagles, society would be a much better place.
I like that.
I appreciate that.
That's not bad.
I like it.
Who's up next?
I'll go. Real quick. Shout out to all of my horse racing fans. Big weekend this weekend with the Belmont coming up. We might have a Triple Crown winner. And then 2, shout out to ESPN 30 for 30. Highly recommend people take a look at their recent documentary on Bob Knight. Just an utter travesty in the fact that he still has somewhat of a reputation based on what he did in his final years at Indiana. Really sad story. Rest in peace, Neil Reed. Definitely take a look at that.
Cool.
Mine will be short and sweet. I'm going to use this time to apologize. I've gone the last 30 or 20 plus years absolutely hating on this man named Gino Auriemma. Got to see a different side of him with a couple interviews and the documentary on the UConn Huskies. The man can coach. I never doubted that. But he had this bravado about him that made me want to punch him in the throat. But the reality is, not only is he a basketball genius, but he truly understands character and personal development, which is at the root of every good coach. That's what you're supposed to. If you're going to coach my kids, that's what I care more about than putting the ball through a hoop. So thank you for all that you've done, and I apologize for hating for so long.
You finally came to the light, man. Congratulations.
It's good. You all. This is good for the kids who's role modeling here.
It's good, man. Best coach in America. Yes, that's right. I said it.
I agree.
I thank you guys for today, man. I guess for my last call, what I'll say is that I'll ask the question to the masses. What do you get when you mix reality TV, kind of like Real Housewives of Atlanta, with sports? I think you get the NBA in terms of what we have going on this day and age, the drama, the ups and downs. And I'm really interested in the reality show that's going to be happening with the whole trade after, and with the what's been going on with the finals with the refs and the refereeing since even the Houston game. I really do feel like Golden State's a superior team, but I am not a copper top. Matrix reference to one of my favorite movies. I definitely recognize the role of the referees in some of these games and totally tipping the scales towards the greater team, which is very interesting. Like, they didn't need any help. It's like a bully, the stronger MMA fighter with brass knuckles on, fighting like a little kid. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully I would be interested to see you all's opinions on the trades and what's going on in the big reality show that is the NBA this summer. So, fellas, thank you. That's the last call. Alex, did you did your last call, ACOT. So, all right, B-Web will be joining us again next week. Hopefully it was good for you all in terms of just being here versus out drinking and all of that other stuff that people do on Thursday nights. Love you guys, and see you next week.